All right, so far we've looked at 5 different techniques to build walking bass lines from the ground up, starting with the roots, then we added fifths, then leading tones, passing tones, neighbor tones, and triads, giving us a huge toolbox of stuff to work with. I would like to talk now about what I like to call the chromatic 4. It's often referred to as a half-step walk-up. I've heard it called a drop, depending on how it's used in the context in which it's used. The idea here is that when a chord lasts for a full measure, you can play the root of that chord on the downbeat, and then use the remaining 3 beats in the measure to walk by half step up, or sometimes down, but usually up, to the next root in the sequence. You can do this back to the note you started on as well if the chord is continuing for more than one measure. Both techniques are pretty common. You can also walk up to other parts of the chord, but we'll save that for a future lesson. This technique is extremely common in gospel and funk bass lines, but it can be added to walking bass lines as well to add a little bit of momentum in one direction or the other. I hear this pretty frequently used in a 12-bar blues, just to walk up to the root of the following chord, or sometimes at the end of a 12-bar blues to walk down to the root as a way to resolve. It's a really common bass technique, and it fits in with the leading tone idea, only it's more like a series of leading tones. The reason we call it the chromatic 4 is that chromatic refers to movement by half step or movement outside of the key signature. The chromatic 4 is always both of those things, so it makes sense to call it a chromatic 4. Check out some of the examples on the website and try it in your own lines along with play-alongs in your combo classes or when you're jamming with your friends.